Champ here with 10 seconds left. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and now. Well, that didn't take long. Just want to tell you guys, thanks for watching this video. You guys are epic. For tomorrow, I want you guys to tell me which category you guys want me to do. I didn't know what to do. Since yesterday I had school, which terribly sucked. I couldn't do the live stream. Yeah, San Francisco.
I play Pokemon because I think they are cute.
I play Pokemon because it teaches you to read and do math.
I play Pokemon because it's fun and I can meet a lot of people. My brother introduced me to Pokemon. He was going to the state championships and I just decided to follow along with him.
Actually, my fiance introduced me to Pokemon and it's been a really big bonding factor between the two of us.
It's very fun. You can learn stuff. The most fun thing about Pokemon is knowing the deck and playing it well.
I think what's fun about it is that everyone can show their creativity by making different decks with the card game or with the teams for the video game.
The most fun thing about playing Pokemon is being able to meet people from not just different states, but different countries as well.
All very good reasons to play Pokemon, of course. I actually learned how to play math, or do math, a lot better because of it. Welcome back, everybody, to the 2016 Pokemon Video Game World Championships here in the wonderful San Francisco, California. My name is Dewey Ha, and joining me on the stage is, of course, the one and only Ray Rizzo. Ray, we're kind of cutting to the point of a tournament where, you're really familiar with right now.
Yeah, once you get to that single elimination portion of the tournament, that's when things start to pick up. You start to really feel the pressure because one match loss and you're eliminated. Unlike in the previous phases of the tournament, you could afford 2 match losses throughout both day 1 and day 2 and still advance. But now, you win and you move on, you lose, you go home. So this is for all the marbles. These players are going to be, bringing their A game. They're going to want to focus, and I'm really excited to see these top players go at it.
15 rounds of Pokemon have been played over the course of 2 days, but that's not it. We have cut down to our final top 32. Of course, we finished with 24 players in this top 32, so 8 players will be receiving buys, but that means for the rest of the 16 players, they actually have to play one more round to be able to make the top 16 of the 2016 Pokemon Video Game World Championships. And, top 16 is where the prizing starts getting a bit interesting, of course. I believe it's $1.5 thousand on the line in cash, or possibly travel stipends, or even scholarships.
Yeah, there's a lot of prizes on the line today. And one of the things that I do want to talk about is everybody would advance who suffered 2 or less losses. However, you wanted to keep playing and keep winning. So if you were 5-0 and you were guaranteed a spot in the top cut, there was reason to keep playing because one of these buys straight to the top 16 was on the line. So somebody who started out 5-0, maybe they're thinking, these matches don't matter. I can just, relax, get ready for the top single elimination portion of this tournament. But no, you want to keep playing. You want to keep winning. Get that bye. That propels you automatically to the top 16. That's where the prizes are.
Absolutely. And, the top 8 seeds have all received buys, so the bottom 16 players actually have to play one more match. And, of course, one advantage of playing or being a top-seeded player is that you have to play lower-seeded players. And that might not necessarily translate much in terms of, actual skill level because, this top 24 is actually pretty stacked in my opinion, right?
Yeah, from my history playing, the seeding isn't that big of a deal as maybe it is in some other sports or some other games. Sometimes seeding, it's a lot more important. But in Pokemon here, usually the seeding isn't as important. There are a lot of times where the lower seed beats the higher seed simply because Pokemon does have a lot of luck involved. It's a lot of matchup-based games where maybe you lose simply because of a bad matchup. So usually seeding kind of irrelevant when you're trying to determine who's the better player. But maybe it's a little bit of an edge playing a lower seed, but I think it's the bye, most importantly, that really rewards winning after you've already started off maybe 5-0 or 5-1 and kind of pushes you to want to keep winning.
Absolutely. And, once you receive that bye, that automatically means that you're in the top 16 of the World Championships. And, top 16 is a very prestigious feat in its own, right? A lot of players, they will list top 16 as one of their accomplishments when it comes down to it. And, being able to top 16 World Championships, I've never been able to do it. You've done it a couple times here and there. It's just such an amazing feat to be able to go back to your home country, wherever you come from, and be able to say, hey, I was top 16 in the world at the Pokemon video game.
Yep, and speaking of countries, one of the big storylines that we talked about were some of the countries who maybe this was one of their first years competing in VGC, and then we talked about the countries who, veterans of VGC had tons of competitors. So I do want to talk about that a little bit. The top 3 represented countries heading into Day 2 was America, Japan, and then Germany. This top cut, 0 Japanese players.
Absolutely.
After we saw 7 of the top 8 last year being Japanese, this top cut, 0. However, it's dominated by American players, German players, and then some of the kind of regions that don't have as many representatives, maybe newer to VGC, such as Sebastian from Argentina, who we saw on stream a couple times earlier.
We saw him as the first player actually from the Latin America area to actually be able to move on to the elimination stages of this World Championship.
In the Masters division, yep. So an incredible accomplishment by him. There are some other players from regions. I think Hong Kong is another region that
Edward Kichung from Hong Kong actually has a first-round bye as well. So does Sebastian Escalante of Argentina. So those 2 players coming from areas that aren't as well represented or relatively new to the video game championships actually have gotten their first-round bye, and they are automatically in the top 16.
Yeah, so it'll be really interesting to see how those players perform in what may be, some pressure-filled matches for them, considering they're kind of representing their entire country as just one single player, where some of these American players, there's a whole bunch of them in the top cut. There's a whole bunch of German players where the pressure from the rest of the country isn't as big on you. But for those 2 players, there's going to be a lot of pressure from all of their fans back in Hong Kong and Argentina.
And even then, Portugal also actually has a representative as well in the top 32 here. Eduardo Cunha, who we actually saw on stream yesterday, he's going to be facing off against Conan Thompson in this top 32. That's also a big deal. Portugal, a country that doesn't even have like a national championship, but Portugal is no stranger, of course, to this Pokemon World Championships because Igor Costa, back in 2012, was actually the world champion in the trading card game. So, a very diverse top cut that we actually have going into here. Of course, the United States, as you said, is now a favorite to win with just how many numbers that they have.
Yeah, just based on sheer numbers, not to mention just how skilled a lot of these players are, but America does make up a large portion of this top cut. They did enter with the most players in Day 2, so not too much of a surprise that they ended up with a large percentage of the top cut. However, after you look at last year's results and you saw America just severely underperformed, there was a lot of doubt that America would really do well this year, but they certainly showed up to play this year, and we've got a number of Americans in the top cut.
And of course, there are some returning countries into the top cut as well. Australia, ever since 2014, hasn't been able to send anybody to the top cut, but Sam Pendalis of Australia is able to make it to the top cut. He will be going ahead and facing off against Andrew Novak, who is a regional champion, and we saw him have to face off against Sebastian Escalante in the previous rounds. Of course, Great Britain also has representatives as well. Jamie Boyd. We haven't seen anybody from the Great Britain make the top cut since, I believe, Lee Osiris from 2014 as well.
Yep, I believe you're right.
And of course, Korea, Wang Xiaojiang is actually back in the. He's in the top cut.
Yep, this is the first time he is in the top cut, but he's certainly looking to kind of recreate that magic that Seijin had a couple years ago and bring the championship home back to Korea.
Yeah, and it's gonna be pretty crazy. Like, this is gonna be it's a surprising top cut, I think. A lot of upsets will probably occur. There's so many different possibilities that can happen because this is the game that we play.
Yeah, but then there's also some players that maybe many of you are familiar with, such as Wolf Glick. No stranger to the stream and no stranger to making the finals in Worlds or the top cut at Worlds. He's actually made it to the finals before. He's top cut before. He's a phenomenal player, multiple-time national champion, so he's a returning face here, really looking to win Worlds because that has been his dream for at least 5 years, competing seriously in VGC. And then there's some other players, Marcus Statter, another player we've seen on stream before, who's
and
won.
We also saw him on stream a lot in the European streams.
Right, as a caster.
As a caster.
Right, but this time he's actually competing, and he's done okay at Worlds before, but this is the first time he's done really well, and he's really looking to kind of make his mark on the world stage because he's done it at Nationals, he's done it at Regionals, but at Worlds, that strong finish has kind of eluded him to this point.
There are a lot of veterans in this top cut, of course. Wolfie, Marcus, they are going to be running a very similar team that we've seen, I think, for the past couple rounds. That kind of cool tech with the Raichu and all those teams. And, of course, there's so many players in here, right? Like, who do you think? What country do you think is going to take this championship right now?
I think I'm going to, I want to pick America. Of course, being an American myself, I'm certainly cheering for America here, and by sheer numbers, odds are that America will win. But I want to go with the kind of crowd favorite story. I'm going to go with Sebastian from Argentina.
Yeah, you think so?
Yep.
For those of you guys who missed it, I believe it was round 5 going into the day 2 of Swiss here at the World Championships. Sebastian actually had to face off against Justin Karras, who also made the top cut. He's actually a new face, relatively new face actually to the Pokemon scene as well. Hasn't been around for too long, but the crowd was crazy, right? The crowd went absolutely wild just to see, a player from their region being able to do so well and, represent.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. There's a lot of pride for your country, and even if you're not from Argentina, there were tons of Latin America players all cheering on Sebastian, and it was incredible to see because I'm sure they can all relate to what Sebastian's going through. For a region that maybe doesn't have the same number of tournaments that maybe America or Europe might have. So being able to progress this far is certainly an incredible accomplishment, and I believe he's done that in the seniors division before, but this is his first time in Masters, and so he's really being put to the test here, and he's done a great job so far.
Yeah, and he's still a relatively young player, I believe, and there's just so much more Pokemon happen though. We have a lot more matches to have before we can finally crown that world champion. There's a lot that can happen in just one set. We've seen players crawl back from huge deficits to be able to take victories away from, what even I have dubbed as defeat.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes from Pokemon like Xerneas. We've certainly seen Xerneas just take back games after being down maybe 4-2, and you've just got that Xerneas in the back. It gets set up, and then it just sweeps. We've seen that a couple times. Of course, Smeargle. He's no stranger to making miracles happen. We see Moody. Anything can happen when you've got a Moody Smeargle. Dark Void, very, very annoying to play against. It can turn the tides of battle by sleeping both of your opponent's Pokemon. And then not to mention all of the other support moves, especially when it's paired with a Xerneas. It gets Wide Guard, Follow Me, Fake Out, even Transform. So there's a lot of things Smeargle can do that it just makes it such an unpredictable Pokemon to deal with and just so strong in this current metagame.
And coming into this World Championships, one thing that I talked about, one thing that I always expect from the World Championships is to see all these really cool techs that a lot of players have into their teams. We've seen a lot of really cool techs throughout the entire weekend, and this is it. This is the World Championships. This is the last tournament of the season. A lot of money is on the line. A lot of pride is on the line. You want to bring out everything that you have, everything that you've looked for in this entire season, everything that you've tested so far, and you bring it out. And we are definitely seeing a lot of interesting techs in these teams, right? Obviously, a team that comes to mind is Wolfie's team. Wolfie, Marcus, and Barris' team with the Assault Vest Raichu, the Eject Button Hitmonchan top. Those are really all cool techs.
Yep. And then earlier today on the VGC stream, we casted Wansuk, who is also in the top cut here. I believe that was round 1 against Shoma, the former world champion last year, and he had a red card Arcanine, which it forced Xerneas out after a Geomancy boost, took a Dazzling Gleam like a champ, and it was kind of the MVP for Wansuk in that game, and I'm really excited to see how it does in the top cut here. But like you said, there's a lot of really unique choices that players have chosen. I know Barry Anderson has a Volcarona also with red card, so there's a lot of really cool Pokemon here in the top cut, and I'm excited to see how they do against some of the more standard, more refined choices that we see and have seen all season long.
Yeah, and of course, we also do have a lot of standard teams as well. A lot of those popular pairs going into this tournament that we expected to do really well. Obviously, Groudon and Xerneas is a pair that is doing exceptionally well. Aaron and Sebastian are both players that are running that core, and look at them now. They both have eyes coming into this top cut. We do know that Rayquaza and Kyogre is also another very popular core. Wolfie, Marcus, and Barris, of course, are running that core. So we also have some dual primals as well, here and there, and I'm not exactly sure if we have any absolutely extraordinarily obscure pairs. I don't think I've seen any too obscure.
I don't think I have either. We do have, I think, a couple Xerneas, Rayquaza cores, but that's kind of something we have seen throughout the year, just not as common as some of those other cores. But for the most part, the cores are what we would expect The big difference is in those non-restricted Pokemon that players are using to support those restricted Pokemon. That's where we've seen a lot of variety, as we just talked about.
Right, and of course we do know that Justin Karras is running, kind of a strange core in the Xerneas Kyogre core. Not exactly a very popular core. It actually made it all the way to the junior finals, the junior finals at the United States National Championships, but unfortunately it just succumbed to Groudon Xerneas.
Yeah, that's one of the kind of issues with that kind of team, because if Groudon comes in and is able to control the sunlight, it just has such a favorable matchup against both restricteds. Both Xerneas and Kyogre do not like facing off against a Groudon in the sunlight.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, Ray. And I am just so excited to see how this is going to play out. So many countries, so much pride is on the line. I know I asked you which country you thought was going to pull through. I know you said Argentina. Ray, I'm actually going to be a patriot here, and I actually think the United States might be the one to take home this victory.
Oh, they certainly have a great chance. There's a lot of American players here in the top cut, and a lot of really, really strong ones. And I know Wolf is extremely hungry here. He's been wanting to return to the kind of top tier of play at the World Championships. He's kind of missed the top cut the past couple years. He's come close. He did make the top 16 last year, I believe. But, this time he's actually in that single elimination portion. He controls his own destiny, and he's really excited to get that chance to kind of show the world what he's made of and return back to the top that he was at in maybe 2011, 2012, where he made back-to-back World Championship top cuts.
Yeah, and of course, Aaron Traylor, the runner-up at the United States Nationals, he was actually the one to finish undefeated. He's the first seed coming into this tournament, so he's a player to be watching out for as well once we hit the top 16.
Yeah, we saw how well he did at U.S. Nationals, and in my opinion, I think he might be the strongest kind of Big Six, or what we like to call Big B, with the Bronzong instead. Kind of Xerneas Groudon Trick Room type player. I think he might be one of the strongest players for that particular archetype in the game. Of course, 7-0, I believe he went today, so he's just been doing extremely well. Didn't leave off at U.S. Nationals rusty or anything. He came in today, this weekend, and, kept up doing what he did at U.S. Nationals.
He knows the matchup.
He's just on fire.
Well.
He does.
He knows the matchup extremely well for all sorts of different types of Pokemon that are thrown at him. Of course, we did get to see a quick glimpse of him back in round 2 of today. Unfortunately, that was cut short because Pokken Tournament had to broadcast their finals for the senior division. So, we hope to see more of him, and maybe we'll be able to get him in on the top 16. Of course, you're right, Wolfie Glick, he hasn't been in a top cut since 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And, he really wants this championship. I remember talking to him a little bit last year when, he was really upset at his finish. I kind of came up to him and I was like, hey man, congrats on your finish. And he wasn't happy with his finish, even though, he finished really well. He finished in the top 16.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's kind of different when you finish in the top 16 at Worlds, but you're not in the single elimination portion of the tournament. That's a lot different. Like, now we've got 24 players left, so that's not as good as top 16, but you're in the single elimination portion of the bracket. That's what counts. That's where you kind of control what's going to happen for the rest of the tournament. So you're in control of your own destiny. Wolf definitely likes to have that kind of opportunity. So, like he said in his interview, he's not satisfied with where he is just now. He wants to do better than he did last year, but I know Wolf personally. I know even if he were to get top 8 and then lose, he still wouldn't be satisfied. He wants to win.
Yeah, it's kind of that situation where once you've had a taste for it, you kind of want to go for it.
Right, he's been to the finals and lost, so he doesn't want to, do worse than that. He wants to get back to that same stage, get his chance at redemption, and become a world champion.
Right, and this team that we saw coming from him, coming from Marcus, coming from Barris, it's a pretty solid team. It has a decent matchup against most archetypes in this format, right?
It does.
We saw Barris defeat the Big Six core. We saw Wolfie defeat Blake with that Groudon Ray Quasicore.
And one of the things, if you're either Barris, Marcus, or Wolf, one of the things that has to be giving you confidence right now heading into this top cut is how well each of your friends have been doing with this team, because they've all dominated with it. We saw in day 1, both Marcus and Wolf absolutely dominated yesterday, hardly dropping any matches. And then again today, all 3 of them top cut with relative ease. So they've got to be feeling confident about this team. They got to believe that this team has the potential to win it all, and that at least one of those 3 will become world champion.
Right. There were even talks before this tournament started about how great this team was. I saw a lot of, I read a couple bits online. We found the team. And maybe they did find the team, and we'll just have to see exactly how it plays out. Guys, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and when we return, more Pokemon action here at the 2016 Pokemon Video Game World Championships.
Hello trainers! If you enjoy playing the Pokemon games and are looking for a new challenge, why not consider entering the Pokemon Video Game Championships? The Video Game Championships use a special battle format. Bring a team of 6 Pokemon, choose 4 of those for the match, and attack using 2 Pokemon at a time. That's called a double battle. Team preview is very important. This means the battle against your opponent starts before the match even begins. You know what your opponent's 6 Pokemon are, but you don't know which 4 they'll be choosing to use in the upcoming match. Choose 4 of your Pokemon carefully based on what you think your opponent might do. Get inside their head. And now the match begins. It's a 2-on-2 double battle. Half of your chosen team is immediately out in the fray. What do? Do you ask each of your 2 Pokemon to attack, to protect themselves, switch out, or to lend a helping hand to their partner? Will your opponent focus their attack on one of your Pokemon, or throw out a combo attack that targets both of your Pokemon? Whoa, didn't see that coming. In a double battle, your Pokemon's moves can target either opposing Pokemon. Some moves target both Pokemon at once. There are even attacks so powerful that they hit everyone, including your own Pokemon. However, the attacking Pokemon's partner can use its typing or abilities to avoid that damage. You can also use certain moves to help your ally. Remember this, and don't be afraid to get creative. That escalated quickly. Each turn, the fastest Pokemon of the 4 will move first. It's important to keep track of how fast each Pokemon might be. Moves that inflict status conditions such as burn, paralysis, or sleep are powerful. Make sure your team has a way to deal with them, or you'll get overwhelmed. Pokemon abilities can be extremely useful in a double battle as well. Compared to the single battles you might be used to, battles in the Video Game Championships are very fast-paced. A player could have all 4 of their Pokemon knocked out in just a few turns. Play strategically, but remember you only have 45 seconds to make a decision each turn, and 15 minutes total for the entire battle. In the rare event of a match timing out, the player with the healthier team wins. Is your team strong enough to take on Arceus? What about 6 Arceus? Don't worry, you'll be safe from its judgment. The mythical Pokemon you may have received from special events cannot be used in the Video Game Championships, but this year, most other legendary Pokemon are allowed to participate. They are known as restricted Pokemon, and only 2 Pokemon from this category are allowed in your full team of 6 Pokemon. There are also rules ensuring no 2 Pokemon or held items on a team can be the same, so expect to see some variety. This short video is only covering the basics. Keep watching the World Championships and check out the players demonstrating the more advanced techniques, such as speed control, predicting your opponent's next move, defensive switching, ability combos. Planning a strategic Video Game Championships ready team can take a lot of work, but there are fantastic resources available to help. You can test out your teams right from home using the Pokemon Global Link. When you've got a battle-tested team at the ready, head to your nearest regional championships. Get more information about tournaments at Pokemon.com/playPokemon or about Pokemon strategy at Pokemon.com/strategy. Good luck!
welcome back, Pokemon fans, to the 2016 Pokemon World Championships here in San Francisco, California. My name is Dweeha, and joining me on the stage is, of course, the one and only Ray Rizzo. Ray, we are having some action going on in the background right now. You know, a lot of intense matches going on in the back, of course. We actually do have a couple quick updates for you guys in terms of the top 32 here. Obviously, we already had the top 8 players go through a bye. For those of you guys who were unable to follow along, the bye players that were actually received in order were, well, not in order, but Aaron Traylor was the first seed.
Yep, he went undefeated today.
Edward Kitchung of Hong Kong got a bye. Justin Karras of the United States was able to receive a bye. Wolfie Glick was able to receive a bye. Sebastian Escalante, your favorite to win the entire tournament right now, he received a bye. Guess what? That made him one step closer to winning your prediction, right?
I was just caught up in the hype from the matches earlier. Just seeing the emotion when Sebastian was playing was incredible. I was actually out front watching that game live in the crowd, and boy, the emotion there following that game, it was so incredible. And I just want to see more of it. That's all. I'm caught up. I really hope Sebastian does well. And
I really enjoyed the crowd presence that Sebastian had. Everybody was just going crazy. Everybody was cheering. Everybody was just so happy, so excited to see one of their fellow players do so well. Following Sebastian that has bye is, of course, Michael Manzano, who we actually saw last night pretty much secure his trip to day 2 in the last couple seconds of the game.
yeah, and Michael's another kind of veteran to VGC. He's been playing a long time. He's never really done this well at Worlds. He's had a number of good Nationals finishes, a number of Regionals wins. He's qualified for Worlds and competed in Worlds before, but this is the first time where he's done really well, and, he's got to be feeling confident with that bye.
Yeah, and after Michael Manzano, who receives the bye, is, of course, Giovanni Costa. He was one of the first players to actually secure his trip to the top cut. He actually defeated a Japanese player to secure his top cut off screen. And, Giovanni, we actually ended up watching him play. I forgot exactly who he played, but it was a very exciting and very close battle in which he played to his out. So I'm excited to see how he plays in this top cut.
Yeah, me too. I remember he started out 5-0, so he qualified without much trouble at all for the top cut. So he's got to be feeling real good about himself as he advances to the top 16 and competes for the title of world champion.
Yeah, and of course, the last player to receive a bye is Barry Anderson of Great Britain. Of course, Barry is no stranger to the World Championships. He's qualified in years past. In 2013, he actually made it to the top 16. He actually bubbled out at 9th place.
Yep, I was about to say, I remember Barry getting 9th at Worlds and coming oh so close to the top cut. Of course, for all years before this one, it was only the top 8. Now we've expanded to let all players who suffered 2 or fewer losses advance to the single elimination portion of the bracket. So Barry, certainly doing very well this time, achieved a bye. So even if we did cut to top 8, he would have actually made it this time.
Strong showing from Barry Anderson. He has a cool text. We've already mentioned it, the Volcarona with the red card, with the Whirlwind. Very interesting text coming from Barry. We do have some match updates for you. Aaron Traylor, who, enjoyed his little break. I guess you can call it a dinner break. He actually got the bye, and he's actually going to be facing off against Blake Hopper, who actually defeated Dane Zeman in the top 32 match. So that's going to be a pretty big matchup between what I want to consider 2 U.S. Titans.
Yeah, these are 2 very, very strong players in America. They've both done very well previously. They've had very strong national, regional showings. For Aaron, this is kind of his first big world showing. Blake has done pretty decently at Worlds before, but now 2 Americans going head-to-head in the round of 16. They're both very, very strong players. They both make incredible